Okay, Jason Moonwall, Jam on the Fly. I'm going to show you my Wigglestone, Jam Wigglestone fly. Basically, this is the fly here. I'm going to zoom in on that so you can check it out. And it's pretty much an articulated stone fly. We'll get a little closer on this so you can see what the heck's going on there. And a nice little view of it. You can see it's a beautiful fly. Of course, it has articulation, wiggle tail, and a nice, beautiful look for a stonefly. Look at the bottom of that thing. Look at the top, and of course, as it goes through the water, that tail will wiggle back and forth, and just get a nice little stonefly look out of it. And pretty neat little bug. But that is the Jam Stone Wiggle Fly or Wigglestone. And I'm going to show you how we tie that. Pretty straightforward tie. Just simply a little, if you tied any articulated flies, you'll know exactly what we're doing here. Basically, I'm using this is a 35 millimeter shank. This is an MFC fly shank. And that shank is basically that long, way longer than we need for that tail section. So what I like to do is I'm going to put that in my vise. I'm going to straighten that out first thing. It has a little bit of a taper to it. I don't want that. I want that to be straight. So I'm going to put that in my vise, and we're just going to bend that till that is pretty much dead straight. And you can see that does a pretty nice job right there. Now we're going to take our dikes, and I found that if I cut this piece pretty much right in half, I end up with exactly the piece that I want. So I'm just going to snip that, one nice little snip, and I end up with two pieces, enough for two of these tail sections. So let me put this back into the vise, put the eye into the vise, and we're going to start with our back section, or our tail section. We are going to wrap some thread on this guy, and I'm going to put those two pieces together just like that. And then we're going to come out here to the tip, put a little bit of thread on there, come back. Now we're going to use a little bit of Bondic out in the end. Again, the eye's over here, and I'm just going to put a little ball of Bondic on the back end as a bump. So right here, I'm just going to put a nice little ball of Bondic, just like that. And we could get a little bit more on there. What the heck? Just like that. Put a little bead of Bondic on there like that. Swing it around, we'll hit that with the light real quick. And that little ball at the tail end there is going to help spread our biot for our tail. And you'll see what I mean momentarily. There we go. Dry that glue up. Dry that Bondic up. Get rid of that. Okay, now we're ready for some I had showed you a brown stonefly. We'll tie a golden stonefly. It's just a matter of changing the colors a little bit. This is actually a sulfur color biot. It's yellow enough for me. Actually, it has a really nice looking golden stone color to it. So I'm going to use this for the golden stone. And I am going to tie these in so that I end up with a nice yellow biot tail. Just like that. And we'll put one to that side. And we'll put one to my side, or the camera side. One to the camera side, one to my side. Just like that. How far does it stick out? Doesn't really matter. Going to tie that to the junction point. Basically, there's a wire where it's folded over. It's not that important. I am going to use black wire. So I have black wire here. I set it down here. There we go. Medium black wire. We're going to tie that in. And again, we're tying this opposite as of what we normally would, because we have the eye in the vise. So our tail is to this end, and our connection is up at this end. And all we're making right now is the piece that is articulating. So it would be the abdomen of the stonefly. And you can make it as complicated as you want or as easy as you want. I like to make things easy because don't need to be complicated. Fish don't really care. They just like to eat. So again, yellow, dubbing, whatever you like. Whatever type of stonefly dubbing or you like to use, go ahead. I blended this here myself. It's kind of a yellow, mustardy color. Kind of fits in nice for a golden stone. Just don't have that. You could go with that real bright yellow color, because most of them when you pick them up are that really bright yellow color. But I don't know. I like to knock it down a little bit. This stuff will be bright yellow enough when it's in the water to the fish, so I don't need to knock them out with brightness. So like I said, I'm just gonna add some of this in here, kind of make that abdomen maybe a little bit bulky as you get up towards that eye like that. And I could even use a little bit more dubbing. There we go. And we'll just wrap that on there like that. It gets nice, some nice neat wraps. Let's make that decent, because we really do want this to stand out, at least our ribbing. So when we run through with our rib, you can see the segments that we create. And if you look down in there against the yellow, that's a nice black rib, so it looks defining. That's really all that matters, that it looks defining. Okay, doesn't have to be the best tie in the world, doesn't have to be whatever. It's just an abdomen. That's it. That's all it's going to do. Is all it's ever going to be is an abdomen. And again, tie that baby off. But if you want to use head cement, go ahead and head cement it. You can hit it with whatever you want. And that, oh, excuse me, that is the tail section of the fly. So you see that little guy? We'll set him to the side. Now we're going to take a 3366 Mustad. I found to be probably one of the best hooks for this. 3366 Mustad. And we're going to also take, and hopefully I have it here because I really don't want to have to go and get that. I have it little enough to do it. 30-pound fluorocarbon, whatever works for you. As far as that, I like the 30-pound. It's a little bit heavier, not for the heaviness, but because it builds up the sides of my fly, and I'll show you what I mean in a minute here. So basically, I will start with this, tying this piece in right here in the front on the side. I'm going to tie this into the camera side right now. Okay, so this is just a piece of 30-pound fluorocarbon, and I keep the pressure. If I'll turn this to the vise to the side a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. I'm keeping the pressure to the outwards, so as I wrap, it stays right to that side, and I'm going to come down the shank just a little bit, and then you could go back up, whatever you want to do, back down. The trick is to keep that to the side, just like that. Now we're going to take our little wiggle abdomen, and we're going to slide that on. Slide it through the hole, fold that around, make a nice little loop, and I'm going to tie this side to the camera side of, and you can see that right there. See how that's to the camera side? And I'm going to actually do the same thing. If you lift on this as you come forward to the side, this will stay right on the side. So all you have to do is keep it lifted like this, and it will stay right on the side. When you get up towards the top, let's get a couple really nice finishing wraps. And you can see the broadness of that. I'm going to take this, I'm going to cut this off, get rid of that, okay? And you can see how broad that is. I'm going to wrap and wrap and wrap. Let that baby dangle like crazy there, okay? And you're just going to wrap this on and just keep wrapping. And basically, if you look at what we created, if you could see that, we have a nice flat. You see how flat that segment is? And when you turn it, it's broad. Okay? I think that's very key to this fly because of the legs that we'll be putting on it. These legs come in a flat. They're actually here, realistic nymph legs. That's what I'm using. Take these realistic nymph legs, and they come basically just like that, okay? So we're going to take that little tail end tab that you see right there, and we are going to put that into position where we can wrap and tie that portion in, just like that, okay? Now, I could lift and adjust and do whatever I want with this until I get that where I want it, okay? And I think I'm pretty much liking that. But the flatness of putting that monofilament on there is what makes this thing really, really ride perfectly on top. Okay? Now you can see where I'm at with that. I have the first wraps on the back. And now I'm going to just simply take my time and I'm going to wrap through, just getting a few wraps on each segment as I come through. Okay, and I'll show each one. See, now I'm wrapped on that one. I'll even work my way up a little bit more on that. Okay, not enough that we're stretching and pulling things. Okay, just like that. Then we're going to come up in between the next set. Nice pinch wrap there. And we're going to put a few wraps there. Let's get that wiggle tail out of the way. That's really wiggly. It's doing its job. It's wiggling. Okay, there's a third wrap, so we're up into that section, and we're going to come right up to the front, and we're going to wrap that in as well. You can see where we're at. With that being done, we're going to cut this little extra piece of skin off the front, lift, cut. Okay, again, let's fold them back and make sure that we got all this. Okay, and then let's also work our way back. Just like this, work our way to the back, okay, and we get to the part where we have this little flap in the back, same thing that we had on the other, clipper right off, okay. That's pretty much what we got going on there, and you can see very nice situation that we have there as far as everything sitting really nice. These legs just are incredible. And pretty much you get to the point where you have everything in place and everything's nice and tied flat on that. Legs are sticking out beautiful, and we don't worry about the wiggle tail. That's just dangling there. We are going to come back to our dubbing. So we're going to come back to the dubbing. Again, I told you, very easy, straightforward fly. In fact, you look at people look at that fly and they think, man, that thing's, I don't know if I could ever tie that or complicated. You see how easy it is? We just tied legs on. I mean, that's pretty much it. We tied legs on, we tied a very simple abdomen. Not very many difficult parts to this fly. As far as the dubbing, same dubbing as we used on the abdomen. And we're going to come in and we're going to cover our black thread. And again, it's just a matter of working around the legs. Wrap after wrap. Wrap after wrap. Working our way front. Right behind the abdomen. And when you get a chance, then we're going to come up and we'll go right over and through the next set of legs, kind of figure eight that a little bit. But never, never putting a leg out of position. So you could actually set those legs with the dubbing if you have to. Okay? Now when you look underneath, you should see all dubbing. Okay? And on top, it doesn't really matter because we're going to be covering that with turkey. We're going to take some turkey flank. This, of course, had been pre-lacquered. And I'm going to take a nice wide piece, snip a chunk out of that. I'm going to cut in a shape that I want, which is basically just kind of a rounded type of shape. I don't get kind of carried away with that. What I'm trying to do with this first one is I'm trying to cover the intersection. Okay, so I'm going to call, and I am with the thread. I am right behind the back part of the second legs. Okay, now I'm going to put this on top so that it extends over top of the link. Okay, so if this was standing straight out, I want to be able to cover that link so it's hidden. I'm going to come through and I'm going to come around up to the top and I'm going to pull. As I pull, I check them legs and I try to make all them stay where they are supposed to be. Okay? That is a step. I'm working my way with the thread. I'm still behind the second pair of legs. I'm just simply adding some wraps. So if you could look at that from the camera view, you can see where I'm at. Pretty much right in that area between the back set of legs and the second set of legs. Okay, that's where we stop. Lift this tag up, cut that off. We could keep this because we're going to use that again. Now we're going to come to more dubbing. Very simple fly, I told you. Pretty much just dubbing and adding wings and adding stubs from this point out. Very simple. Nothing to it. If you want some lighter, color gold for your, lighter gold stoneflies, go for it. I'm happy with this mustard color. And I'm going to just work this in and bulk up because, of course, we are now on the thorax portion of the fly. And I want that build up a little bit. So I'm going to add some more dubbing even yet. And the next step, of course, will be to figure eight through the next set of legs. So I'll come up and we're going to come through to the first set. And as we do this, we can set each one of them legs as well. This is not just throwing dubbing on. This is also setting the legs. So as I come through, you see I set them legs. Okay, so you see we have a pretty nice looking stonefly body coming along. Everything's coming along great. We're ready for our next set of wings. You could take that same clip that you had. In this case, I would recommend taking a few fibers off the side, maybe narrowing it down a little bit. We could cut some type of a shape. Maybe this one will do kind of a diamond spear type of deal. I'm going to overlap that onto the other one about halfway. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come through the front and the second leg and then pull tight. And as I do that, of course, I want to check my legs and make sure everything is the way it should be. So when I turn that, you see all the legs still sticking out beautifully? That's what we want, okay? Again, a few securing wraps like that. Again, we're going to lift this up and we will get rid of that piece. Just like that. Looking pretty good so far, huh? Same thing, same exact step. Take some more dubbing. We are going to add that in. Just like this. Add that in, break it apart a little bit. Again, it'd be better to dub tightly than loose. So you want to try and keep them keep that dubbing concentrated. We're going to build up here. Again, we're working on the thickest part of the thorax because we're up front again. So we're going to be building this up pretty good in between these legs. And again, we're adding, I'll turn that different way so you can see what I'm doing here. Okay? And I just keep adding dubbing. Again, keep adding it and don't interfere with the legs, so that the legs are always splayed completely out and that you're not interfering. You could use the dubbing to help keep them out, but don't do anything to disturb them. Now we're going to come right back through, and then we're going to come right over. I want to bulk that up just a little bit more like that. And then I would like to come right over and add a little bit of bulk right in front of the legs here. And I could do that just by wrapping around like that. Oh, there we go. Okay, so if you look at what we got there, it looks pretty good. Everything looking pretty neat. Everything's falling into place pretty nicely. I'm going to take a couple more of the yellow Biot, or in this case sulfur, but who really cares? Take a little bit more of the sulfur Biot, and we're going to put those in as antenna in the front. And do you need them? I have no clue. You don't need them, but what the hell, put them in. I don't think the fish are going to care, but maybe your buddies do. Okay, so we'll just get that baby tied in like that. I'd like to have that up in against the shank like that. Beautiful. And we got one antenna in. Cut the excess Biot out. Let's get the other antenna in. And again, that'll come to this side, and that'll look pretty good just the way it is right there. If it's not long enough, just pull it out. This one's not quite where I want it. I'm going to give it a little bit more. And a little bit more than that even. There we go. Tighten, pull it to this side where I want it, and just pull down, just cinch down on it. There we go. Now that baby's wrapped in there really nicely, and we could kind of get our cone shape head in there. Let's get rid of the excess butt without cutting our leg or our antenna off. There we go. Okay, again, all the legs splayed out. If you can see, all the legs are still splayed out exactly the way they should be. The insects looks correct. Everything's right. We need one more piece of turkey to finish the third wing case. I'll take a little piece of turkey. We're going to put our little signature arch in it. And we're going to lay that baby right over the back like that. And come right across our neck and just pull that baby tight. Okay? And I kind of like that it's, there we go, something like that, huh? Not too bad. There's our third wing case. We can hike that up a little bit. Couple wraps on that, fold this back, make sure we have our two antennas sticking out. Nope, not quite. There's the other one. Let's get it out of there. Make sure we have our two antenna. Get rid of that. Make sure we got our bug legs sticking out really nice. And whip finish this guy. And we pretty much have our stone just the way it's supposed to be. Okay, and we're going to close that up, tighten that up, and we will put that in. Again, making sure that everything's correct. There's a stonefly articulated, and this one's wiggling like crazy already. I mean, this one has all kinds of movement on. I could have done something to keep that tail a little less wiggly, but you know what? It's good to have that. Once that thing's bouncing in the water, who cares? This thing could just wiggle however it wants to wiggle and do whatever. Okay, so basically, okay, what are we going to do to fancy this thing up? What do we need to do to fancy it? You don't need to do anything. But what do I do? Okay, so what I do is I'll turn it on its side. Okay, and I will run brown marker on the bottom side of the leg, bottom side of the leg, bottom side of the leg, and flip it, bottom side of the leg, bottom side of the leg, bottom side of the leg. Beautiful. Then I'll take a black marker. The exact same thing. Top side of the leg, huh? Top side of the leg. Top side of the leg. Flip that baby around. Top side of the leg. Top side of the leg. Top side of the leg. And you see it just adds a lot more color to the fly. Maybe makes it look a little bit different. But basically when that thing's floating around the water and the tail's doing the old wiggle hoochie coochie, it looks like this guy just can't swim, can't do anything because they're not swimmers. And it looks very vulnerable. The only other thing that you can do, and I usually never do it except for ones that I would have in a case to show, is Sally Hansen Hard as Nails finger polish on the wing cases, or at least just the tips of the wing cases like that, of the 3 wing cases, and let that harden so it looks like you know what you're doing. And you end up with a nice shine or sheen to the fly when it's sitting dry in your wing case. But besides that, that's the insect. That is the big, this one's a golden stone. The one I just showed you previous would be a brown stone. There, we'll put that guy in the picture too, so you have a look at the 2 of them. But there you go, you got a golden stone, you got a brown stone fly, and that is the JM Wiggle Stone. JM on the fly, and I am out of here.